deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive, left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it's Friday at 9:35, which means we visit with the voice of the Minnesota Twins on television, Cory Provus. Twins are back home tonight as they take on the Diamondbacks. His appearances each and every Friday are brought to us by Welton's Tire Service out of Lisbon. Everybody wants to know first how you're feeling, man. That you weren't in the booth on Wednesday. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing better. Thanks for asking, and I appreciate the kind words. I'm doing better. I'm going to work tonight, but I started getting sick in Kansas City on Sunday, and then I was in bad shape Tuesday. Doing the game Tuesday night, I was not feeling great, and then I got back to the hotel, and I knew within like an hour that I was not going to work Wednesday. So I was in pretty rough shape. Tuesday night was a bad night. Wednesday wasn't great. So I flew home separately. I didn't fly with the team. I flew home yesterday, and I'm doing better.
Right.
Just got some fatigue. I took a couple of COVID tests just to see, and negative for COVID. So I might have had the flu, but I'm certainly doing better. But I'm just trying to get my strength back.
Well, good to hear that you're doing better, and good to have you back in the booth tonight for series with the Diamondbacks that opens up. You know, we were chatting last week, at the Viking game being on Monday night, and the Twins were playing late with the Angels. You feel like you had an open mic on Monday night? You could say pretty much whatever you wanted.
So I was having a little fun. So I don't do much on Twitter anymore, but I thought, let's have a little fun. So I was doing kind of like random play-by-play updates. We go to commercial, I'll be like, hey, Royce homered. We have a 5-3 lead. Tune in. Just to see what the reaction was going to be.
Yeah.
And I had fun with it on Monday night. Then I heard that random stat. It was like the first time in like 40 years that the Twins and the Vikings both won on the same day on the road. It was just some rando stat that you wouldn't think too much about, but I thought that was interesting. But I had fun with it on Monday night, well aware of what our ratings were and well aware of what the interest was locally, but still I wanted to have some fun with it.
Well, I appreciate it because I saw you doing it. Like, that's fantastic. That's a way to get people to tune in. That was dynamite. Let's chat some stuff on the field. Byron Buxton, couple of big home runs. Obviously now second Twin to go 30-20, first since Kirby Puckett did it. The thing we've always talked about Buxton is, boy, when he's healthy, producing, the Twins will win. And that's the ironic part, I think, Cory, of this year. He's been dynamite, and the team is struggling as much as they are.
Yeah, you know what? But I think, Dom, when we visit, early next season, I think what we have seen this year is that, at least for the time being, let's put if he's healthy kind of in the past. Okay? Because Byron, he got a concussion. Okay? We can't do anything about that. He had the rib cage issue, fine. Trying to make a catch in right center, fine. But he's been generally healthy this season. And the issues that he's had in the past, not at all the issues that popped up for him this year. So I think what I hope with Byron is, when we get to him next year, is going to be like, hey, if this, if that, can he stay healthy? Well, he was healthy, and he has put together an outstanding season. I mean, he's pushing on a 5 Fangraphs WAR season, which is stellar. I mean, MVPs are going to be around 7s and 8s. I mean, that's where, Raleigh and Judge are, and those are the MVPs. But still, if you're a 5 or better, that's an elite season. And so for Buxton, I just think for the time being, and at least heading into the offseason into 2026, if he's healthy, how does he fare?
Yeah.
What's up with the knee? Well, all that now is in the past because he posted this year.
He's been dynamite, and it's been fun to watch, really, over the highlight over the last month and a half, since things have gone and developed as they have. Royce Lewis had a big night back home on Monday, had a couple home runs. I think we may have talked about this last week or the week before, so I apologize on the repeat question on that. But is there anything he's done fundamentally different that you've seen at the plate over the last little bit?
Audra talked to him in Southern California and tried to get to the bottom of that. He's tweaked his swing here a little bit. And what I've heard from him is what I've heard from Austin Martin, what I've heard from a lot of guys is they keep going back to, I'm just trying to be more of an athlete. and I'm just trying to be more athletic and maybe looking less into, well, a year ago I was doing this with my hands and my toe tap or my leg kick and my base was here and my feet were here. What is going to make you more of an athlete? And I think that's what kind of these are things that the guys have leaned on a little bit more. And I'm sure there is something fundamentally different. And I'm sure when Justin is back in the booth here starting tonight, and I'm sure he'll be able to pick that out in a second. I can't tell you where his hands are, where his feet are, what's different about his swing. But what Royce told Audra is that he's trying to be more athletic, and with whatever he's doing to make that happen, it's working because he's had a good second half.
How much a good September can go to? Can you take that to next year, Corey? Is it that does it not translate in your history of covering baseball?
I think so because the struggles last year in September, and let me be honest, I'll be perfectly clear. It wasn't just on these guys, but Royce had a quiet finish.
Yep.
Brooks Lee had a quiet finish. The young guys that were playing more baseball than they ever had before didn't finish strong. And Max Kepler was in that same boat for a long time. Max Kepler's worst month over his career was always September. And then as time went on, it got a little bit better. I believe now it's changed a little bit because in the minor leagues, these guys are playing more. But only not too long ago, the minor league season ended, barring playoffs, Labor Day. Now they go into mid to late September, and that's going to help these guys, get going for that last month in the big leagues. But I think absolutely for Royce Lewis, who struggled last year, to be able to say, hey, I had a better September this year, that's a big deal. Brooks Lee right now, pretty quiet. I think just 2 extra base hits his last 19 games. So he's in that same little rut that he was in last year. But for Royce, I think this is very encouraging.
Got to ask on the other side, found out David Festa got shut down a while ago, getting a second opinion. It doesn't, when I hear thoracic outlet syndrome, that's normally a year, right? I mean, that's the worst news you can hear.
It's a year, and I've yet to encounter an example of somebody who's come back from that.
Oof.
I don't know of pitchers that, I'm not saying the career ends the next day,
Yeah.
but can they find what they once were? Phil Hughes is an example in Twins history. Steven Strasburg, even Marcus Stroman was. I mean, there's just these guys. It's not an uncommon procedure, but to me, it's not great because coming back from that, if there are examples, and maybe there are, Dom, that I can't think of top of my head, few and far between. Because the bulk of the guys that have this thoracic outlet syndrome procedure where they shave part of your rib bone down, that's you come back okay, and then they say normally it's year 2 when you find it again. But then okay, I've heard that, but then year 2 doesn't go as well, and then what? So to me, that's not a great diagnosis for a guy like David Festa, especially where he's at in his career. Other guys, I mean, Phil Hughes made a lot of money. Strasburg made a lot of money. For a younger guy like David Festa to encounter this at this point is very concerning.
Especially considering, the Twins, I think, had some hopes for him, right? That's going into 26, that he might be part of the solution for next season.
I think, and Glenn Perkins said this on the air, that he thought maybe Festa was going to thrive as a bullpen piece.
Okay. Yeah.
And I could see where he's coming from because Festa has swing and miss stuff. Did he have a third pitch? I don't know if he really had a third pitch. His fastball slider, that's a good combo there, good velocity. And then if you take him out of the starting role to the bullpen, does 94, 95 as a starter become 97, 98 as a bullpen piece? So I think he was a guy that, sure, the Twins were not going to rule out as a starter, but maybe was going to be in that group with this new look of the team and moving some former starters into this bullpen role like they did with Trevor May and Tyler Duffy. And then we know the latest group that maybe Festa was going to slide into that column, into that category. So I think long-term, I think he was a part of this team, no doubt about that. In what role? I was starting to lean more as a possible bullpen piece down the road.
Email to ask you, and I was going to bring this up, so I'll do it here, to ask Corey about Joe Ryan's comments he made that upset that the Twins didn't re-sign Sonny Gray a couple years ago. Frankly, I was stunned that he said it out loud. That's something maybe you say off the record, but the fact he went on the record with it, I was taken aback. What did you make of the comments he made?
I mean, I think that Joe Ryan is going to speak his mind.
Yep.
And that's what I love about the
Yep.
guy. I like that he has no filter. To me, it's all part of the experience, and he's an emotional guy, and I have no problem with that. What I will say is that I don't think the Twins had a chance to sign Sonny Gray. I think it's of my belief that the Cardinals had their sights set on him, number one. That if the Twins offered him $75 million, the Cardinals were going to go for 90. That he was their number one target. And he signed, I think, early November.
Early.
He was very quick to
correct.
sign.
Yep.
I also think he wanted to, and I'm not saying Joe's wrong about him wanting to come back here. I don't know that. I think he wanted to be closer to home. He lives in Tennessee. I think if it wasn't going to be St. Louis, not saying Atlanta's farther, but I remember Sonny's last year when the Twins were playing in Atlanta, and Sonny's got a great family, great kids, and they were wearing all these Acuna chains. And I think the Braves were also going to be in play. I just think there were other teams that were interested in Sonny and were going to exceed what the Twins were going to offer. Now, I think what's fair to argue is, okay, Sonny, they didn't re-sign Sonny, went on. But could that money have been used elsewhere? Could that money have been used to sign a guy like Reese Hoskins to play first base?
Right.
Could they have used that money to sign Harrison Bader instead of Manuel Margot, instead of that trade for 2024? I think that's fair to bring up and fair to debate. But the Sonny piece of it, I never assumed I always assumed he was leaving. I just felt like he was going to, whether he and Rocco ever got fully aligned after what happened, that dugout scene, but that was 2022.
Wasn't great. Yep.
I don't know. I can't speak to that, but I do know that I just have the feeling that the Cardinals were not going to be outspent. After what they went through the year before, they wanted to go get a number one, and they were spending their money on Sonny Gray, and that's where it ended up.
Let's break. We come back. We'll chat with Cory about the weekend with the Diamondbacks, and then the Yankees are coming to town early next week. We'll do that. Other side of the break, we wrap up hour one of Hot Mic after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour back with Cory Provus. Twins and the Diamondbacks tonight. I had to double check here on the schedule because this is the final homestand of the year. The Diamondbacks here, then the Yankees, and then the Guardians, and that'll do it for games at Target Field in 2025.
Yep, 3-team homestand to wrap up the home portion. Then we finish in Texas and Philly. So yeah, it goes fast. It really does. And Arizona this weekend, and thanks to your Mets, are very much in the thick of the wild card race. Only 3 back right now. So the Twins have games left with contending teams. I mean, it's not like the Twins are not playing, uninteresting baseball here. They're playing some compelling baseball because of the teams they're playing. The Yankees, they're a playoff team right now. The Diamondbacks trying to hang in there. The Guardians just won 3 out of 4 against Kansas City. Yep. And remember, that's a 4-gamer next weekend, a doubleheader a week from tomorrow. So, yeah, and then Texas in the thick of things in the American League West, wild card and the division, and then Philly will have it wrapped up by then. I think it's more about seeding out of the one of the two, but Milwaukee pretty much has a good lead for that number one spot right now. But yeah, there's still some good, compelling baseball left for the Twins on the schedule.
I was all set to write the Diamondbacks off, and you're right. The Mets have been sucky, so it put Arizona back into it. But Arizona's completely underachieved. They sold at the deadline, like they got rid of their best guys.
Yet here they are.
Yeah, I know.
Since the trade deadline, they're 21-16.
Yeah.
I mean, or since the second half of the season, they're playing great. So, yeah, they have found their stride here a little bit. And they're doing this without some key guys, some key losses. Ketel Marte, I think he's going to be okay. He left the game the other day against the Giants with a bad foot. But it's a good team. It's a good team. Brandon Pfaadt's going tonight. He's got, 12, 13 wins. His ERA is over 5, though. But still, it's a team that has a lot to play for right now. And then you put your season numbers, all that's in the past. Right now, it's almost like, okay, there's blood in the water.
Yeah.
if you're a contending team right now, the Twins have not played well, and since the All-Star break, have the worst record of any team in baseball. This is the time you have to eat. So they're going to get the opposing team's best shot every day, the rest of the way. So it's up to the Twins to answer and see what they can do to bounce back.
I'm interested your thoughts on this because I know how baseball develops bullpens now. In your mind, is it a clean slate in 2026 that the Twins relievers now likely aren't with the team next year?
I think there's a few guys that are of interest. Like I think they didn't put Travis Adams in the bullpen just to fill a spot. I think they want to see what he can do in shorter bursts.
Okay.
I think Cody Funderburg has had some really encouraging signs here in the second half to be a pretty reliable lefty. He's got to lower that walk rate, especially to lefties. But I think Funderburg, I think Adams, and Cole Sands has had a really good second half. I know he took the loss the other day, but still his velocity's up. So I think there are some guys that figure to be important pieces, but yeah, I think that's where they go. I think in terms of free agency trades, they're gonna have to take a look at the bullpen. I mean, they're gonna absolutely have to take a look at the bullpen because it's not. I think they know it. I think they understood when they traded their top 5 guys, it was going to be pretty nasty, and it has been.
I want to save this probably for your last appearance in a couple weeks, but if you were to guess the Twins 2026 outfield, how would that look to you?
Oof. I think Buxton's in center. I think Austin Martin is in left.
Okay.
And, the Walker Jenkins service time, that's gonna be a big topic in spring training, especially if he's healthy and he
he's
hits
good, yeah,
and he rakes. It's gonna come up. I mean, it's gonna come up. I would be somewhat surprised if both Matt Wallner and Trevor Larnach are on this roster together. It's clear what the style of play the Twins are trying to go with right now. I think that's the same style they're going to want to bring back. And that's going to be running. And I think a big mistake that the entire staff will own is that they should have done this sooner.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned that on the air. I heard you say that. Like, why the wait? Why did they wait so long before they started doing this?
They didn't believe it, and they trusted. Nope, we're slow. We're sprint speed. We're slow. Well, look around the game.
Yep.
Juan Soto's got 31 stolen bases. Josh Naylor's got 25. You don't have to be the fastest guy in the world to steal bases now. You just don't. With the limit of pickoff plays, the bases are bigger. There's just better ways to watch and study and find these little ticks that these guys have and these little moments that these guys have you can take advantage of. And I think they were a little late to the game on that. And I think so they're going to want to play that style. Wallner and Larnach, they're not the fastest guys. I just think they're going to want to be more athletic and probably not rely on much of the slug as they planned on being. And I think that's kind of where I sit right now. I just, unless one of them learns first base, which maybe happens. Right. And if one of them goes to Camp Morno this winter and moves out to the West Metro and says, "Hey, Justin, teach me first base," so be it. And that'd be great because I think there's a spot there to be had. It's going to be about the conversation, the want to. Are you open-minded? Other than that, I don't know. But right field to me is murky. But I like what I've seen from Austin Martin. I really have. I like that he's getting playing time. I think he's at his best in left field. I like his at-bats. His base running needs work. We all know that, but he's fast. So I think that's kind of where I sit right now. Alan Rodin's going to be in the mix. James Allman's going to be in the mix. But you have so many left-handed hitting outfielders. Yep. That's why I feel good about Austin Martin's chances of being, on the team and perhaps in left field to start opening day.
Great to see you, bud. Hope you're feeling better. Have a great call tonight, and we'll do this again next week, okay?
Thanks, Dom.
There he goes, Cory Provus, voice of the Minnesota Twins on Twins TV. Tonight with the Diamondbacks at 7 o'clock at Target Field. His appearances are brought to us each and every Friday by Welton's Tire Service. We appreciate their sponsorship of his appearances on our show. We'll break. We come back. Big second hour coming up. We got picks with my dad, and we'll check in South Dakota. 2 teams going maybe opposite directions with USD and South Dakota State. Jay Elson on that. We come back.